This is Des Plays, and welcome back to Fallout 4 and the settlement of Starlight City, which, as you can see, we've made some significant improvements to since the last episode when you were here. But before we're going to talk about the changes that I've made and the stuff that I have planned for the next episodes here, I do want to talk a little bit about performance, because I have run into some performance issues, and I also did get a question from somebody about performance. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is that I believe the settlement might have gotten a bit too big in terms of objects. As you can see, we've got a huge number of objects here now, and I think that actually might have sort of broken the game, because while I was constructing this, I had not taken down some of the older buildings that I said I was going to take down. And somewhere around when I completed my house up there, I noticed that nobody was doing anything anymore. The idle settlers were just standing around. The shopkeepers were still at their posts, but they weren't. She didn't look like that. She didn't have her hands on the counter. She wasn't wiping down the counter. She was just standing back there. I could still barter with her, but that was it. She wasn't doing anything. And then when it came to nighttime, nobody went to the bar. Nobody went to bed. They just stood where they were all night. And then when I took down, you may recall there used to be a building here and a building over there, and I took both of those down. And at some point in the deconstruction process, I noticed that everything was sort of back to normal. People were started walking around again, and the shopkeepers went back to the way that they were, which leads me to believe that there were too many objects here. And the first mod that we're going to talk about is this mod down here, which should help us to cut down on the number of objects we have here. This is an advanced power conduit with, I think this is the large version. I'm pretty sure that's the large version. It's pretty big. And that has pretty much twice the radius of this normal power conduit over here. There's a smaller version of this which has, I think this has a range of 500. The smaller version of this mod has a range of 750. The large version has a range of 1,000. So what that should allow us to do is put these advanced power conduits over here and really cut down on the number of conduits that we're using. See, in this area we have 1, 2, 3, 4, which might be more than we need, but if we just put one of these advanced power conduits maybe right there, that should cover this whole area and allow us to, that's going to be a bunch of wires and a bunch of power conduits. There's a whole bunch of power conduits on this wall that we should be able to eliminate from the settlement build size. Now I'm going to go into the build menu real quick so you can see that I have used bat settlement so that there is no limit. Well, there's a very, very, very large limit on the amount of objects I can put here. But from the sort of bug that I was talking about, there seems to be that there definitely is a limit on the number of objects you can put and still put in the settlement and still have it function. Now, to demonstrate to this mod to you a little bit more, we're going to go out to the test platform on Spectacle Island and see exactly how big the range of this is. Alright, so we've made it out to our test platform on Spectacle Island, where we have a series of 3 lights set up. The first of which is powered, and that is receiving its power from a normal power conduit, which you would get with the base game. These floor tiles, I don't believe they are exactly 250 units in length. I'm not sure about that. Somebody's going to have to look that up. But roughly 2 of these floor tiles is what you can expect in terms of range in one direction. So really 4 tiles worth of coverage. So 1, 2 on this side, and then 2 more on the other. So if we go into the build menu, take this wire, attach it to the smaller advanced power conduit, we get roughly 50% more range. Well, not roughly, exactly 50% more range, which should give us about another floor tile, which allows us to power this light. And then if we take the wire and attach it to the large power conduit, we get a whole, well, not whole. I think if we move this light out to here and we turn it back on, this light would not be powered, so leads me to say I don't believe the floor tiles are exactly 250 in length. But almost a fourth is what we get when we attach the power to the large power conduit, and we can turn this light on as well. So that's almost 1, 2, 3, 4, and remember 4 in the other direction as well. So about That's a huge area of coverage for just one piece. So that's, I don't know, what is that, 3 or 4 of these that we wouldn't, 3 or 4 of the normal power conduits that we wouldn't have to use. That should allow me to significantly cut down on the amount of objects that I have in Starlight City, where, like I said, that has become a problem. Now, this mod comes with two sizes of this, and as well, it has a floor-mounted version and a wall-mounted version. The original mod, I believe he's working on a ceiling-mounted version of this if he gets enough interest. So if that's something that you want, be sure to go over there and post and tell him that you want it. But I downloaded this mod a while ago, and at that time, it was version 1.0, and he did not have the wall-mounted versions of this, which wasn't really a problem for me because, or let me disconnect the power first. You know, be safe with electricity. Store that in the workshop. And what we can do is, at that time, when I wanted wall-mounted versions of this power conduit, I would just use the precision mod and rotate it like that, and it still works perfectly fine. And you can do that for the ceiling mounted versions as well, if you're not willing to wait for probably version 3.0, when hopefully he will put that in. So anyways, this is a fantastic mod. I highly recommend it. And we're going to go back to Starlight and talk some more about a different performance mod. So the next mod that I want to talk about a little bit is called Insignificant Object Remover. And what this mod does is, in an area like this, there should be little rocks and pebbles and other junk scattered around that the game renders to add a little bit more, I guess. And if your PC is struggling, what you can do is install this mod, and that will just remove that stuff from the game entirely. My very first concern when installing this and testing it out was, does it conflict with spring cleaning at all? And as far as I can tell, no, it doesn't. I went to several of the settlements that I have yet to clean up, and I'm really looking forward to cleaning up because that's a lot of fun for me. And they're still as messy as ever. This only removes stuff that you wouldn't really do anything with in the first place. I haven't really noticed a performance increase for myself. The only place where my computer really struggles with the game is when I'm first coming into a settlement and it has to load it up. See, I went from 60 to 30 to 40 and now back to 50. So once it has loaded all the objects in the settlement, I'm roughly 50 to 60 frames, and the computer really doesn't have a problem with it anymore. It's just the initial when I'm first running up to a settlement where it starts to struggle a little bit. But once I'm inside and it's already loaded everything, not really so much of a problem anymore. Or at least not that I've noticed. Or it's not a significant problem for me. But if your computer's struggling at all, I recommend that you probably try to take a look at that mod. Now, the last mod that I want to talk about today is Settlement Supplies Expanded, and this is related to a question I got about performance from one of you guys. And I asked what mods they were using, and was one of those mods Settlement Supplies Expanded? Because if you recall, 2, maybe 3 videos ago, I explained that I was no longer using Settlement Supplies Expanded. I had instead switched that out for Homemaker and Settlement Keywords. And I don't have any data to back this up, but I believe that my performance increased when I stopped using Settlement Supplies Expanded. And I think at that time I also said that Settlement Supplies Expanded was no longer supported and no longer being updated. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I looked at the mod page today, and it appeared to me that it hasn't been updated since the end of November. So my personal recommendation is that if you are using Settlement Supplies Expanded, that you uninstall that and switch it out for Homemaker. The problems with uninstalling it is that any objects that you placed where you did use Settlement Supplies Expanded will go away, but it shouldn't affect your save in any other way. I did have to replace a whole bunch of objects over in Sanctuary, but that wasn't really as much of an issue. And like I said, I do believe that my performance was better without that mod installed. Your mileage may vary. Anyways, that's enough about performance. Let's talk about a little bit about what I've done here. This is the living room of my house at Starlight Drive-In. Here's my reading magazine rack. It's as yet empty. I still need to transfer all my stuff over from Sanctuary. And here is my lovely bedroom. Again, all of this is homemaker stuff. So it's got a lot of nice junk in there. I really like it. And here's my office where I can supervise all of the goings-on of Starlight City, as well as my balcony, where I can look out over the courtyard. Now, I did have to, you can't really tell, but I did have to move everything down there. Oh, you can see, I don't know if you can see it from here. Let me go to free camera and maybe zoom in. But we have, this is some of the scavenging stations, which I talked about in the last video. And like you can see, they are right now working on building the weapons shop. I messaged the mod author. I told him I was going to make a construction crew. And then, you know, sort of like really try to get into the spirit of things, set up construction lights, set up these scavenging stations around whatever I was building to make it a little more fun for me. Give them all the mechanic jumpsuits and just have them working on stuff. That I think would be pretty fun. So down there, what we did was we rebuilt the courtyard. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that big open area where Kate is right now. And that building right there is I did say that I was going to surround that with the shops. We have, this whole thing is the weapons store, and I'm probably going to, I haven't done it yet, but I'm probably going to get the mod that adds functional weapon racks and see if I can make that work in there. And that's also where I'm going to put my weapon workstation and stuff like that. So what else is here? We have these shops over here, both clothing and armor. I kind of like to look at this. I do have to add lots of, you know, sort of ambient stuff around here, so it's not so empty. If that does not break the settlement, we shall see. And then over here, this whole area is going to be where most of my housing is going to be. There's my house, like I said. I'm probably going to have most of my companions, probably going to build a house for them each. Either on this level or on the level beneath. And then over here, of course, is the future home of the Minuteman headquarters in Starlight City, much like the one that we have in Sanctuary. And then aside from that, really only did a whole lot of tearing down of things. Oh, and one really cool thing that I want to talk about, and I believe this came from Homemaker. I'm going to have to double check this. But I believe this came from Homemaker. If we look under the generators tab, we've got the normal generators, and then we have these really cool things. We've got industrial generators generating 45 power, 35 power, there's a normal one, and then we have this generator large, which makes 75 power, and fusion reactor, and then of course the general windmill. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to be using a couple of those reactors in here to power this place, which means they're going to have a pretty awesome power building, I think, to replace these rinky-dink generators sitting over here by the wall. Oh, this is where the main bunkhouse used to be, and I disassembled the bunkhouse and just left the beds. So everybody's sort of camping out right now, sleeping under the stars, if you will. But anyway, next video I'm probably going to be working on the housing up here and filling that out. Let me know in the comments if you would rather I just did it off screen and then showed you the after, or if you would like it done like I did the greenhouse video where you get to basically see it all happen. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will do my best to make that happen. Anyways, I think that about wraps it up for this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you found some good information in this episode, and I hope to see you next time.